Right, and so Rock Point is the largest open space in the city of Burlington, correct? And
Yes.
so we guesstimate that maybe somewhere around 10,000 people a year come onto the property here. We also have the deep commitment to the environment and to environmental stewardship. We have the solar array that's now producing just about all the electricity we use on Rock Point, the largest tracker solar installation in Burlington, and the largest solar installation on any religious property in Vermont. So it's a place that has a lot of resource, a lot of richness to it, and it's a place that people are drawn to for lots of reasons. And it's a place that's very fragile at this point around our ability to support and maintain the structure, the infrastructure, the buildings, the maintenance, etc. And so what I'm hearing you talk about is the process that you're about, is how to engage more people in that process and how to develop in a new way the sense of partnership and reimagine the kind of relationships that people have to this property, organizations have to this property, what happens on this property, so that we can continue to maintain it as a resource for us.
Right, so for instance, just to take a couple of examples with the groups that are already on Rock Point, the school as an example. The Rock Point Board and the Rock Point School trustees are separate but share the same property. We have a land use plan that's wonderfully done so that we can maintain the special ecosystem that's here and do it in a way that will leave it healthy and just be a model for stewardship. But in order to do that, we have to have the practicality of what is that going to look like? What's the actual step-by-step plan? So this year we're working on getting the forestry plan. We've just been awarded a grant for that. And what that will do is allow us to figure out how we can partner around specific parts of that work. So as one example, and this hasn't gone too far yet, but to explore with Rock Point School how their curriculum might fit with that land use plan. In other words, it might be a school that's known for something about how do you take care of the ecosystem. And a couple of the science teachers will be involved in taking a look at the forestry plan. That's one example. Another example is we have had UVM come on the property over the years, and there's never been any kind of an economic relationship. They've used the property for teaching, and it's been a positive relationship. They've used the property for conferences, and again, that's been positive. But one of the directions that UVM's moving is in mission, and their own mission is to get more and more student internships. And so for us to have the expertise of UVM professors who know about the ecosystem and teach about it, and as a way perhaps to develop student internships that would help do some of the work on the property. They may not be able immediately through their administration to provide money, but they can provide what we're needing is personnel. So that's one sort of small example of how that cost of it isn't necessarily going to be borne with dollars, but might be a variety of different ways in which people could make happen here what needs to happen. So there's one open invitation for people to have input into shaping this vision. And then at a certain point, the vision then will become a planning conference. So that invitation, if it works out the way I'm hoping by next winter, maybe by February or so, we'll have an event that will help to put some flesh on the vision. And part of the feasibility is there going to be is there adequate leadership? Is there a willingness to work in partnership? Is this something that there's enough energy and support for? It's certainly not something that we're going to set up and say one way or the other a few people are going to make it happen. I think one thing that's become very clear for everybody who's served on Rock Point Board or touched Rock Point in any way over the last number of years now, 20 years or so, that this isn't something that can be done the old way, because people, it just is not possible to do it in the old way. And so,
Hence the connection to what it means to be a missional church and
Yeah.
to deepen our
Right.
understanding and practice of that. Right?
absolutely. So, it's interesting questions come up in this missional church, is what kind of hospitality do we want to provide? I mean, our, the question of a Christian focus, as a Christian community, are we providing a very wide welcome to a variety of folks who maybe come from a different spiritual orientation? Is that what we mean by hospitality? And really being sure that's what we mean, because without that kind of openness, we really, frankly, some of the folks who already are partners or already are serving on the land, using the land, might be just kind of scared away by the language, and I think.
Radical, the work, it sounds to me like it's focused on determining where the capacity of interest in this, who wants to be, is this something that people want to invest in? Can you gather the people together? And this is not just a Chittenden County enterprise. So let's end by you saying a little bit about why you think this is important for the whole Episcopal Church in Vermont and people who may be far distant from Rock Point.
Well,
why we need their voices and what they bring to this.
All right. The question, I guess, as we ask what do we want Rock Point to be now, is how does Rock Point serve the larger mission of the church in the Diocese of Vermont and be the church in Vermont? And for me, one example that's very specific would be if we're trying to change the way in which different localities around the state interact with the environment. And we have, and Rock Point becomes something of a model of how to do that and how to advocate on behalf of the land that we have and the waters that we share. And if we can, if we, just this is a more narrow way, but if we were to be able to provide a place where people could learn advocacy skills, this is not just for the betterment of Rock Point. This would enable or equip people to be able to bring that change about in their locales where they find themselves.